I just recorded this whole thing and it was not my mic plugged in. So let's do it again.
Woo! Hello, it's WillowHeart here, and tonight it is Halloween! It is time for spooks and terrors and funs and glee for all. Come, little children, I take thee away to a grand adventure of stories. Because it's Halloween stories. It's Hallow's Bonfire night. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy, because we got some good stories to tell you guys. Anyway, I hope you enjoy. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Oh, by the way, thank you for those behind the scenes to help with the writing and the voice acting and all that stuff. You guys rock. And enjoy the fun festivities that we will have. Woo! Enjoy!
Are we going to have to listen to Clay's chewing noises all night?
I have something that can drown out the noise.
What is it?
Spooky stories. Once upon a time, there was an evil sea wing. She was so scary that when anyone saw her, they jumped out of their scales.
That wasn't very nice. You almost made Clay squish Starflight.
It's okay. No harm done.
That was hilarious. You should tell stories more often.
Ooh, can we actually do that? Tell stories around the campfire?
I bet I can tell an even scarier story.
What could be scarier than tsunami?
Good point. But I'm sure Gloria can tell a story that's almost as scary as me.
You're on. Everyone gather around.
Typically, we never live long enough to tell a story, and when we do, we tell them in a way that is too good to even be considered a memorable listen. With 9 million dead, their stories were cut short by a single worthy punishment in the form of our sisters and brothers. We fought and starved, shot and torn in two. I will never forget when it all appeared. Just like anyone else, we were inside, like clouds with a slow downpour. Literature class had started that morning. Smiles were littered on every student's face. I can't lie and say that I wasn't smiling along with them, but with the many years passing, their expressions were simply changed to at least have something, for me to have something, anything to smile about. I pray that those smiles were real and that everyone was happy for those moments. There were always these students who would come in late and get scolded for countless times and reasons. They just never listen. Good grades, but they will never change your tardiness and the keys to continue a life many couldn't or wouldn't. Maybe it was mercy. Perhaps not. We will never know the extent of their thoughts or feelings, hopes and dreams. It was pointless. They were all my children in some way or another. I let them down in so many ways that I would like change, but I can't. I can't because I was stupid and couldn't stand up and be strong. I wanted to see them all grow and graduate. A college degree couldn't save lives like someone dressed in blue could. The students, 3 in total, came into the doorframe and peeked in looking at me, soaking wet from the rain and making puddles on the floor. I am furious, but glad they were okay. Students, please sit down. We have already started and you made a mess already. Just sit down, I would say to them. Their faces held smiles like a tint. Smiles that could not even be real. They all sat down at each other's desk, whispering to the classmates. But I did not bother to interrupt, solely focused on teaching. A while later, I heard a chair tip over roughly, and the sounds of struggling, crying, pleading, and screaming. I turned my head to see what was happening, to witness a horrid sight. A girl who had a bright future, black hair, good grades, pretty, tons of friends, getting assaulted by one of the late students. No one moved for a single second. We were all in shock. Everyone snapped back into reality, realizing that this wasn't a typical punch and scratch. He was eating her alive, slowly. Jumping into action, most of the class, including me, got into to separate the two. When we separated them, the girl was unrecognizable. She fell into another student's arms, where she breathed until she left this world way too soon. It was very much a nightmare. I didn't understand why the student did that, murdering someone so innocent and sweet. I should stop rambling, but the memory is too great. I struggled to forgive myself. Me and the 4 others restrained my child. He didn't stop, refused to listen. He just started biting at us. From what I can recall, this was when the other 3 joined in on this stupid joke, probably started from an online source. That's what I thought at the moment. There was no joke. The 3 turned 4. The dead girl, who was somehow alive, began eating another student alive. Those that didn't do anything began to do something, be it separating them or leaving to go find help. Or maybe they just ran from fear. The thing that put them down was someone taking down the American flag that we had in class at the time and using it as a spear to put an end to those who acted out. 7 students died. The rest were thankfully injured to live another month, or unarmed. To any who find this notebook, many left their stories within. Give us a sign that you remain with us. Stay with us, alive and well. For all things wept and scrape, do not decompose. Astray.
Wow! Where did you come up with all that?
A lot of it came from Deathbringer muttering in his sleep. I swear, if I hear him snore, that horrendous snore of his, one more time, I'm kicking him out of the pavilion.
I thought it was super spooky. You should try one, Clay. Maybe a funny one.
Funny Halloween story? All right.
Well, Tiger Claw grumbled, staring back at Firepaw. He had an annoyed and slightly perplexed look on his face. That sounds like the most mouse-brained idea I've ever heard. Firepaw's face fell. He knew that his request had been a long shot. He'd known that Tiger Claw would probably not be eager to take up his idea, but he still had a bit of hope. Cautiously, he decided to pry a little further. If you don't mind me asking, why not? What harm could come of it? I just thought that maybe it'd be fun for the kits and apprentices, and with everyone so worried over Broken Star, Tiger Claw scoffed.
I will not have some kitty pet tradition be brought into the clans.
Firepaw glanced over at his friends, Greypaw and Ravenpaw. They were both looking at Tiger Claw pleadingly. Firepaw had explained to them the concept of Halloween, a special day that happened towards the middle of leaf fall. From what Firepaw could gather from his 2 legs, the 2-leg kits would go around to other 2-legs' houses and receive treats. Firepaw's mother had brought treats for him and his litter mates to make sure they didn't feel left out. That had been moons ago, but Firepaw could still remember it, and how happy it had made him and his litter mates. A bit of joy in these dark times wouldn't make things worse, would it? Beside him, Greypaw huffed.
Fine then. We'll just ask Lionheart if we can...
Tiger Claw hissed.
My word should be enough.
What's going on here? All 4 cats turned to see the golden-furred ThunderClan deputy padding towards them. Firepaw's mouth twitched into a smile. Perhaps Lionheart would be more persuasive.
Firepaw had a great idea,
Greypaw mewed, jumping in before Tiger Claw could object to anything. Lionheart fixed his gaze on the apprentice. Oh? And what is it? Firepaw quickly explained his idea, thrilled to see Lionheart nod his head approvingly when he had finished. I think that's a very thoughtful idea, Firepaw, especially for the kits, he told him. Tigerpaw rolled his eyes, but said nothing. A few sunrises later, the whole camp was preparing for the forest's first Halloween. Queens, elders, and warriors sat outside dens, having scrounged up pieces of prey, feathers, and shiny rocks to give to the kits and apprentices. Firepaw smiled a little to himself as he saw Frostfur's kits bouncing around themselves excitedly. Cinderkit and Thornkit especially looked energetic. Over by the Elder's den, Golden Flower's kits were already playing with some feathers. Seeing the youngest members of the clan so happy, so pure and innocent, filled Firepaw with happiness. He happily trotted over to Greypaw and Ravenpaw, anxious to spend the rest of the night having fun.
Okay, that was good. That was good.
You should become a comedian.
Thanks, but knowing you guys think I'm funny is honestly all I need.
Anyone else want to go?
I do. I want to tell a cute one. It's called...
The third moon shone brightly throughout the brisk night, a glimmering whiteness of light cascading all across the mountains. The eerie whistle of wind resounded all throughout the peaks. The stars flickered in and out behind the wisps of clouds sliding across the deep, black sky. A beautiful night with the cold, crisp air and stories that send chills down your spine with blood-curdling tales. On one particular mountain, upon this very night, a terrors and scares await the ones. It glows with orange and yellow lights, with little dots coming here and froth. Jade Academy's festivity and excitement could be heard from afar, even to the base of the mountains. All the dragons of the mountain came together, teacher and student alike, to take part in these activities of the night. Dragons of all sorts and colors gather and wake in their costumes and masks. The beginning of the night's games is to come. The dragons from all around come to the mountain for a thrill. Games and parties and so much more are held here tonight. A night full of adventure and horror for many. Tonight is a special night, for it is celebrated once a year. The night of darkness for dread and shock. A time for telling of tales that have long been forgotten. Tales of monsters and myths. Even the steely winter is beginning to crack a smile of joy as his friends play the spectacular games at the festival's grounds. As the group of friends begin their night of horrors, they seize the night of thrills and enjoy the fun. But as the moons begin to wane, the crack of dawn draws near beyond the peaks. The sleepy and dreary dragons of every kind begin to drowsily wander back to their caves. A night of fun and terror, a night of laughs and scares, one that the dragons will always await for the coming years.
Insert cute story here. Once there was a little boy named Little Jimmy, and what Little Jimmy did was to change everything, for he invented wonderful little magical robots. And these robots were to give candy to all the little good dragonettes, girls and boys. Why? 'Cause why not? This is a cute story, and I can personally say whatever cute story I want. Hey, it doesn't even have to be cute. You know, why on earth do I have to read a script that says insert a cute story here when I can just say anything I want? You know what? Forget it. Once there was a little boy named Little Jimmy, and what Little Jimmy did was to change everything. He invented mighty killer robots that literally slaughtered the entire earth, and thus no survivors came up, and guess what? Little Jimmy reigned supreme on a foreign wasteland. So what did that accomplish? Absolutely nothing, because Little Jimmy shortly after died through lack of resources. So thus the robots just conquered the world and became sentient and was able to just build anew and live their lives as a robot city of a robot utopia. And if anybody denies that utopia, guess what? You're dead. Happy Halloween, everybody. The end.
Okay, that was good. That was good.